Hi, my name is Lonnie Jordan. I'm with the band War. I'm here at Amoeba, and I have a lot of goodies in my bag. My first album, oops, sorry. We'll start with Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith. You have no idea how much this organ player carved my life into becoming the keyboard player that I am today. I mean, to this very day, I still can't play. Thanks to Jimmy Smith, because he played so good until he almost made me quit. But I didn't give up. I kept emulating his style until actually that helped me carve my own style in later years, you know, and I'm so thankful to Jimmy Smith. And now the next winner, here's the album that got me in trouble. As a matter of fact, I went to jail on the count of James Brown.
I got soul, and I'm super bad. Rich, hit me.
James Brown was my hero at the time. I was young, I was about maybe 16 or 17. He was in town at a place in LA called the 5-4 Ballroom. And he was called the James Brown Review at the time, because it used to be James Brown and the Famous Flames, and then he would change it because he had a whole bunch of other entertainers, you know, singing on stage with him. Anyway, I snuck out of the house. I went to the 5-4 Ballroom. I hitchhiked, and that was a no-no, especially when you lived in Compton back then. I still ended up there. And I was like, oh man, my hero, you know, I was like a groupie. And I ended up going home, and I said, I can't go home. I ended up staying at this hamburger stand, and I fell asleep, woke up the next morning, and all these plainclothes cars, and I woke up in shock, like, what is this? They took my finger, I'm waking up, you know, and they put my finger on something, you know, for fingerprinting. Obviously, someone broke into the burger stand while I was asleep. And when I finally saw James Brown in Cincinnati, and that was one of his headquarters, he knew that we were in town, you know, to play. He didn't come to the show because he knew that if he came to the show, the whole world would be, you know, messing with him and everything. But he gave us his blessing and said, okay, you guys have a good show. I'll see you later. And I said, but wait a minute, I wanted to tell you, I went to jail behind you. And then he was gone. So I didn't get a chance to tell him, but James Brown really carved a hole in me. You know, as far as music, feelings, soul, how to pretty much perform on stage and not be scared or afraid. And also Eric Burden, which was our singer at the time, Eric Burden in War, also helped me with performing on stage in front of a large audience.
I had the feeling, sure your bone, get it together, right on, right on.
Not through drugs, through natural performance. And you have to understand that that's the only thing that I didn't do, like most artists. You know, they had to find another way to deal with this business. And I found solitude. I found my keyboard. It became my best friend. It didn't argue or anything with me. And then I found my wife. Then we have Ray Charles. It brings a tear in my eyes.
It brings a tear into my eyes.
Ray Charles was the man. When you hear Ray Charles sing, in his, I would say, his spirit, nobody was able to capture. It just all came from his gut, his heart. I mean, he didn't have much eyes, but he did have the ears, the heart, and the guts. And to this very day, when I listen to Sly and the Family Stone, which I told you earlier, when you hear Ray Charles' vocal and you hear James Brown's music, what do you get? You put together Sly and the Family Stone in one, and a little bit of George Clinton, you know, and a little bit of me, because we all grew up on that. I love Ray Charles.
I guess I'll drown, oh yes, in my own tears.
Speaking of Sly and the Family Stone, Sly was one of the first bands besides us and the Chambers Brothers and Carlos Santana who had a mixed band. You know, Sly was ahead of his time. His writing was unique. He was a DJ in San Francisco first, and his father was a minister. And of course, growing up with his sister, I think Rose, and his brother Freddie, of course, you know, all come from a gospel family. And Sly started there. I mean, he started playing his own music, and he just went from there. I don't know what happened, but I can say musically, I used to worship Sly. When James Brown wasn't around, Sly was the other one. Okay, now, Bill Evans. Bill Evans was one of a few, and a lot of people were inspired by his playing. He had his own style, and to this very day, all the piano players, you'll always hear something of Bill Evans out of these piano players, including me, because I love jazz. I love to play jazz. But anyway, he plays all my favorite songs like Emily, Emily, Emily. Yeah, he does Yesterday. Of course, him playing with Miles Davis for a long time. And, you know, Miles had an attitude and ended up getting Herbie Hancock. And I guess he and Bill Evans had some run-ins because of who wrote what, like Blue and Green, the song Blue and Green. It was a compilation of both of them, but Miles had, you know, Miles had an attitude not to be messed with. But Bill Evans, my favorite ivory piano player. Okay, Billie Holiday.
Lover, come back to me.
Billie Holiday, I took all her music, compiled it in one, now I got it here, and had my kids listen to all of her music. Would put them to sleep when we had long drives. And they loved it and they remember it. It's all sunk in their brains. Of course, Brazilian music too, but Billie Holiday was one of the best. Strange Fruit, look at that. She does Yesterday too, dang.
Days I knew as happy, sweet, sequestered days.
My mother used to play her and Dinah Washington on the turntable. We had an Admiral's record player back then, and she would play either Billie Holiday or Dinah Washington or Tommy Dorsey. So rare. You don't remember that? You weren't born. Now we're getting to the meat. I would say in the 60s, there was an issue about music coming in from Puerto Rico to New York, bootleg to California. And it was the Fania All Stars who made it happened. The Fania All-Star label. Other than that, there was issues about getting any music on the radio, and if it was only for about 30 minutes. In the 70s, that's when the Fania All-Stars became a very known record label with musicians like Hector Lavoe, Willie Colon, Tito Puente, Ralphie Pagan. I mean, the list goes on with all the Fania All-Star artists. And these guys were all thugs back then, but they loved each other and they made some beautiful música latina. What can I say? And now this here, you didn't know I knew the melody, huh? Don't look at me like that. Anyway, Roddenberry, who came up with the visionary idea for Star Trek, had an issue trying to get it exposed and explored and put on television. No one would accept it. And all of a sudden came this young lady named Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball was the reason why Star Trek is on the air today, and all the Star Treks. Desilu Productions. No one knows that. No one knows but me. Most of their stories is about issues of today. Let me give you an example. There is one episode where this guy split right down the middle. White on this side and black on this side, right down the middle. And he came after some guy that did something bad on the planet. Of course, Captain Kirk has to, be the mediator for all that. Anyway, and when Captain Kirk said, "You guys are alike. Why don't you like each other? What is it that you hate?" And the guy said, "Can't you tell? Are you blind? He's white on this side and black on that side." And Captain Kirk just went, "What?" Well, he did it for me. But, I mean, when you think about it, and all their episodes are like that, is how people conceive people, through colors. And most people don't look at each other in the eyes and to see how much beauty they have inside. And sometimes being able to connect with people through their eyes, you help bring that out, but people don't know that. It's just like when I hug people, I usually hug on the heart side. Heart to heart, and embrace that, but Captain Kirk, their stories are unbelievable, and that's one of the reasons why I watch it. That and Twilight Zone. They got some beautiful stories that are real today. Rod Serling was ahead of his time, and I must say, still my favorite. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here at Amoeba Records.
It's our absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.